Hi, this is John and Lisa from Tomato Tomato.
And you're listening to Retrospectives with John Broughton on KC Radio 97.7 FM.
I'd be lost without you, baby. Kite without a string. I'd be lost without you, baby.
Yeah. You must be you must be heading our way pretty soon now. When are you flying out?
March 4th.
March 4th. Oh, another week. Okay.
Yeah, just enough time to kind of get all of our brains in order and everything in gear. We'll be on our way.
We're looking forward to it. We're turning on some good weather here at the moment too, so hopefully that stays that way.
Yeah, we are very excited about the weather. It'll be a nice from the polar vortex here in Canada.
All right, well, I'll just throw some questions at you, and whoever wants to answer, just jump in. I guess that's the best way to do it.
Okay, sounds good.
Just to start, what I love about your whole package is there's a great sense of fun about it all. I get the feeling it's always been a major priority of yours to not take yourselves too seriously, to keep that fun alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I don't know, we just can't, we don't seem to be able to take ourselves too seriously.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're just human beings, so how serious can we be?
Good answer. Tell us what you're both doing musically before you ventured out together as Tomato Tomato.
Well, John and I both, just like as individuals, have always studied music and been involved in it since we were children. So, I mean, we didn't know each other until we were adults, but ever since we met, we kind of never stopped making music together. We met in music school, actually. And so that's kind of where it all started. And so for the last, however many years we've been together, our music has always kind of aligned in whatever form it's taken. But we used to play jazz together, actually. That's how we started.
Yeah, we met in jazz school.
Wow. So what brought about the change in musical direction?
I mean, we just didn't love it anymore, to be honest. I mean, we were just, we were playing music that was a reflection of what we were listening to at home. And what we were listening to at home changed, and what we were singing in our kitchen changed. So we just started playing music that we were into.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of a natural progression for us. And we really didn't do it with any intentions of really even making albums or touring or anything. It just kind of happened, on its own. We just are along for the ride.
So do you remember that actual first moment that the two of you made music together?
We were just talking about this recently. So like any school at the beginning of the year, it was a music conservatory, and we had all the, the kind of beginning of the year barbecues and all those fun things. And we met at one of those, and then after that, there was kind of a jam session for all the new students. I think that's the first time we played music together.
I was actually scrolling through your Facebook page the other day. I saw an old photo. It looks like the two of you are out busking somewhere. Did you do a bit of busking back in the day?
Yeah, that's how Tomato Tomato started, really. When we started playing folk and country music, we just kind of threw ourselves out there, and we just started busking around our city at the farmers markets, and we just played with an open case. And we had one fella that was running one market in particular that was kind of an early, believer, and he he kindly let us and encouraged us to come and play our music at the farmers market. So that was kind of our first dive in. And then we started playing other farmers markets as well in our community. And then from there, we did that for a year or so, and a year or two. And, well, summers are fairly short here, so and those go by quickly. And then we ended up entering this the CBC, our national broadcaster. They had a competition for kind of unsigned bands, and we entered that and ended up winning for our region. And then we just kind of started booking gigs, and things started rolling a little bit.
I guess with busking, it must be a wonderful way of learning the craft of getting an audience's attention, because what you've got basically is a travelling mobile audience going past you, and you've got to get their attention. So I imagine it would be a great training ground for that type of thing.
It's very true. It's harder to get people's attention when you're busking. I think it's easy if you're on a stage with lights and a big sound system. It's harder when you're competing with food and other distractions.
Dogs.
Yeah.
So how much of that busking background have you sort of carried over into your stage persona these days?
That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I think, Lisa still kind of has this homemade DIY setup with the washboard and different percussion things. So I think that's a pretty direct carryover from the busking.
Mm-hmm. If you had to describe your music to someone who's never heard you before, how would you wrap it up in one neat sentence?
Let's see. I would say that we are that we have catchy, thoughtful lyrics and interesting arrangements with a lot of vocal harmony that all makes for a very positive experience with live music.
That's beautifully said.
Is that a good sentence? It's like my elevator. That's my elevator pitch.
I love that. That's great.
I mean, I think for us the most important thing is the audience. So we're just focused on having a good time and, kind of interacting with them. And if that can happen, then everything else just seems to fall into place.
Now, of course, aside from being travelling musicians, you're both parents of a young daughter. How do you manage to balance the time there with two very time-demanding jobs?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. We have a lot of support from John's parents. We live in the same city, so we're very close to them, and they step in and help all the time. And our daughter also doesn't know any other life. Like, we kind of started doing this right when she started to be conscious, I guess, of what was going on around her. So, like, there's a photo of us playing music outside somewhere, and I've got her on my hip. She's like a year old, and I'm like playing a tambourine and a shaker, and I've got her on my hip. I mean, so she's really never known any other life.
Yeah.
She just kind of gets it.
And I think, because I started playing guitar just before she was born. So she's just kind of grown up with it. Saxophone was always my background in school and before that. So, guitar's, not new for me, but it's newer. And, I started just before she was born. So she's just it's kind of grown with her, I guess. She's just very accustomed to it.
Sure. How does the songwriting procedure work generally between the two of you? Is there a set procedure you go through there?
Well, John is definitely the songwriter. He's the one that is, humming and hawing over every word and spends, days and days and days just, he goes through
a bit of an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. He's very
I don't know it's always pleasant for Lisa.
He's very committed to the craft of songwriting, and so he usually doesn't really even show me anything until it's probably 90% finished. And then once I kind of get it in my ears, I tend to start immediately throwing in harmonies and little arrangement ideas. And he's not always ready for me to do it, but I just start jumping in pretty quick.
Yeah.
Your music is something that shines in a live situation, but how do you go about, is there any special means you go through to capture that live feel when actually recording in the studio?
Well, we had a very long kind of serious discussion, well, not too serious, but discussions about, whether we either kind of do a live album with just the two of us or whether we go in for the full band experience. Mm-hmm. And we opted to go for the full band experience, mostly just because it was fun and it just seemed to be what suited, what we were doing. But while we were recording, we tried to keep everything as live and spontaneous as possible. So we had all the musicians together and all the bed tracks and even some of the vocals were all performed live together. And then we just added in a few extra little things after. But it was a very kind of spontaneous process, and we recorded everything analog. We recorded all the tape, so that doesn't kind of let you muck around as much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the latest album was 9 days from when we walked into the studio to when we walked out with it finished.
Wow.
So,
talking about on stage, Lisa, you seem to have mastered the art of multitasking up there on stage. You got the kick drum going, the washboard. Is there any pre-show ritual you go through to get yourself into the zone? Because it must take an awful amount of concentration.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have a lot of rituals or anything. I tend to have a cup of coffee maybe before I go on, which is good because it is high energy.
Yeah.
I kind of have all, synapses firing at once. But yeah, I mean, my setup has kind of grown and grown, and I kept wanting to add more things, and there were things I was hearing, but so I've kind of just kind of figured out how to make all that happen at the same time, and it is kind of something to be seen. But at this point, I kind of view it all as one instrument, kind of similar to a drummer playing a drum kit isn't really focusing on every single bit of it all at the same. They're kind of just orchestrating the whole kit.
True.
As one instrument. So I kind of am getting to that point where I can just kind of orchestrate a little bit more. If I think too hard about what each thing is doing, I'll just fall down.
Let's talk about this new record. I put in my pre-order yesterday, so I'm really looking forward to it. You went to Nashville to record at the Bombshelter Studios, and I believe you really had your heart set on recording there.
we did. It was. It's so funny how it worked out. We used to live in Miami, and Lisa was going to school there and teaching, and we played with a bass player named John Estes quite a bit. He and I used to play weekly duo gigs, and I was playing saxophone, and so we became quite good friends, and then finished school and we went our separate ways. He's from Nashville, so he moved back there. And then, we were kind of thinking of doing this album, and we started sorting through all of our favorite albums, and The Bomb Shelter was literally right at the top of a list we had written out. And then we contacted John just to see if he could give us a little perspective on what a good studio would be, a good fit for us that wouldn't be $1 million, but where they'd still be invested in our project.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out that he worked at the bomb shelter. So we knew at that moment that that's where we were going.
I believe it was actually finished a year ago, the actual recording. Is that right?
Yeah. That's right.
Right. So was there a strategy involved in that long gap between recording and release?
Well, the year leading up to it was extremely busy for us. We did a lot of international touring and lots of shows in Canada. So in January, we recorded the album, and then we just made a decision to really take our time, find distribution and a publisher and all the pieces of the puzzle that we needed to release it properly, instead of just putting it out there, which we had done in the past. So we just wanted to kind of take our time and make sure everything was done properly.
I believe there are a couple of interesting covers on the album, covering the band, and also a surprising cover of the old Aha hit. What do you look for in a song that makes it right for the tomato treatment?
I had actually wanted to play Take On Me, the Aha song, for years. I tried it in jazz groups. I had student ensembles. I was coaching, trying to do it. And we could just never... I don't know what my thing is with that tune, but and it was something with the drum groove. And anyway, so we just decided. I talked Lisa into giving it a go, and we just kind of slowed it down and did our own thing with it. And so I finally got to check that box off.
I believe you had some feedback from the guys from Aha as well, didn't you?
Yeah. So when we had put out that song as a live video that we did at our studio here in Canada, and you never know what's going to happen when you put something on YouTube, but we put it up there, and then I tagged the band Aha in a tweet, and they put it on they retweeted it and put it on their Facebook page and everything. So it definitely expanded our reach just a little bit. But
yeah.
I mean, I wonder how many times they have heard that song covered by other bands. I can't even imagine, but it's very nice of them to put that out there a little bit for us.
It took me a little while to wrap my brain around. I kept looking at their Twitter handle and thinking, this can't be like the actual Aha. This has to be Aha or some other, imposter. But as far as we know, it was actually them.
Wow. So overall, was there anything different in the recording process this time around compared to the previous albums?
Well, this is the first time that we didn't record the album entirely ourselves. So that was a big change for me in particular, because I've always done the engineering and the mixing, and it's a lot to take on. It's kind of hard on the head. You get in a little too deep that way. Mm-hmm. So that really changed things for me. It was a much better experience for me. The studio was great, and they, the first day they were kind of saying, "Is that okay? Can we use this mic and place it here?" And I was just like, "Man, you put that wherever you want. Like, you do your thing. I've got faith."
I notice also you're running quite a unique competition at the moment for people who pre-order a personalised song is up for grabs. Writing a song to order, I imagine, would be a great songwriting challenge.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about it, is that it's such a great opportunity to stretch, the mind and create something that's so personal and has nothing to do with you,
Mm.
Yeah, and it will be a really interesting challenge, and we just wanted to do something a little different this time. Instead of putting people in for a draw for a T-shirt or some kind of physical good, we wanted to do something that was a little more personal and a little more of an investment of our time, as opposed to giving people something.
Yeah, nice idea. Hey, considering you finished the album a year ago, I'm assuming you might already have some new songs in storage. Are we likely to hear any of those on this tour?
Yeah, maybe.
I think you probably will. Yeah.
We were actually recording demos of new songs already just this morning.
Oh, wow.
Even though the new not even quite out yet, but we're already working away, and we might have one or two brand new ones that no one would ever have heard before this trip. So we'll see.
You've already released 2 songs off this album as singles. What was the decision process in choosing which ones to put out there early?
We just kind of went with our favorites. I think as the album comes together, you start to consider certain ones as singles, based on just, kind of being catchy and maybe not overly quirky. So, yeah, I think we just kind of went with our gut on that and went with the ones that we were really happy with.
Now, you'll be doing some festivals while you're here, amongst other shows. What do you like most about playing festivals?
I love the communal aspect of playing festivals. You really, I always call it the festival bubble. It's like you're like in a little, space and time for a weekend or a long weekend where the rest of the world seems to stop, and you're just in this festival bubble where everyone is kind and you're just surrounded by art and music and other musicians. And so I love discovering new bands, new to me bands. I love the potential for collaboration when you're sharing the stage with other artists. And I just really, really enjoy being a part of the festival kind of community for the time that we're there.
I guess for you both, as music fans yourselves, it gives you the opportunity to check out other performers that you may not normally get the time or opportunity to see.
Absolutely,
especially in a different country. Just amazing performers that just haven't come across, our radar yet.
Yeah,
it's always exciting.
Or performers that we're already fans of that we're going to get to see, or often there's also this feeling of a reunion at a festival, because you often cross paths with other musicians that you only see in the festival season.
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't see the rest of the year. So there's a little bit of a reunion element as well.
Yeah. And just before I let you go, plans for the rest of the year after you leave us here in Australia? What's on the books for the rest of 2019?
Well, we're back home for a few. We'll be playing some release, shows for the album when we get home, kind of through the spring, and then summer festivals in Canada, Canadian summer will be coming around, so we'll be doing that, and then we'll see from there.
Fantastic. Hey, John and Lisa, great to catch up with you, and you're always welcome down here, and we're looking forward to seeing you again, and we're looking forward to the brand new record as well. So there's plenty to look forward to in the world of Tomato Tomato.
Well, we can't wait to see you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thanks for the chat.
Pleasure. I look forward to the shows. Have a safe trip down.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a few weeks. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Cheers.
bye-bye.